Hello, you're watching the news from Kazakhstan. I'm Marina Kim, and these are the top stories. President's advisor Yermuhamed Yertizbayev proposes to extend the presidential term until 2022. The case of the ex-leadership of the Alliance Bank has reached the court. The prosecutor general seeks to recover $1 billion for damages. The white balloon as a symbol of freedom. Public activists ask to release the arrested leader of the movement Leave Housing to People, Yesenbek Tushbayev. President Nazarbayev's advisor Yermuhamed Yertizbayev believes the leader of the nation will agree to the idea of referendum. Moreover, the official proposes to extend presidential term even further until 2022. Following the constitution, each term is limited to 5 years. Thus, if the elections were to take place in 2012, the term in the office would have to end either in 2017 or 2022. The Democratic Party Adilet also supports the referendum idea, said the organization's leaders on Tuesday at a special press conference in Astana. Adilet is a self-proclaimed party of lawyers, yet it still doesn't see how the referendum can violate constitutional norms.
The initiative over the referendum was supported by political party opponents of Nursultan Nazarbayev. Praising the achievements of the incumbent leader of nation, the leaders of the party Adilet came to the meeting with journalists with student support. Maksat Narikbayev also holds the position of the rector of one of the Astana universities. According to his deputy Serik Abdrahmanov, the result of the referendum is obvious and it can be considered completed. According to modest forecasts of Adilet members, Nursultan Nazarbayev will receive, if not 90, but surely no less than 60% of votes. I consider the referendum a completed event. I foresee its real results, where 60% of our citizens will vote for the referendum and the Central Elections Commission will add it up to 90%. Nazarbayev's advisor Yermuhamed Yertizbayev predicts even higher rate of votes in favor of the incumbent leader of nation in case referendum takes place. He believes the results will be the same as during the last elections. Previously, Yertizbayev always positioned himself solely as a supporter of the elective process. However, it seems that these days the sense of loyalty pushed him to say that the president is ready for the referendum and he will not oppose the idea of extension of his powers until 2020. We see the level of support constantly remaining on 90 and above % for Nazarbayev. Of course, in terms of organizational issues, we will have to conduct large-scale propaganda work so that people will visit the polls and support the president. This is very important. President Nightingale Yertizbayev is confident that the leader of nation Nazarbayev is aware of the current situation, but still keeps silent. Entourage of the leader of nation doesn't doubt that the initiators of the referendum will collect the necessary amount of votes needed for the initiation of presidency procedure. Moreover, the ruling party Nuratan, that has around 800,000 people listed as members, also got involved in the process, and it will be a must for party members to support the referendum initiative.
Parliamentarians of both chambers are now also involved in the referendum races. The lawmakers have set up an initiative group in support of the extension of presidential terms. The MPs say they are ready to provide the legislative base for the referendum. Cabinet members also expressed their utmost support to the initiative.
The MPs called the decision to extend the current head of state's term until 2020 a historic initiative. The signatures of the referendum were not even collected, while the Speaker of the Senate, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, already stated about the unanimous support for Nursultan Nazarbayev by the entire parliamentarian corps and promised to legally provide the conduction of the referendum. The chain of impressive events of this year was supplemented by another historic initiative. The society is heatedly discussing and finds widespread support over the initiative of extending the terms of the first Kazakh president Nursultan Nazarbayev. I think it is based on the tireless work of the president for the benefit of the people and the devoted service for the interests of the country. On Monday, MPs created an initiative group on conducting the referendum, while on Tuesday they tirelessly praised the leader of nation. Traditionally, they talked about his wise policies and called the leader of nation as the only guarantor of the country's development. The cabinet members also declared about utmost support to Nursultan Nazarbayev. The main argument is the much talked about stability. The country is stable and the economy is developing, thanks God. Let it all continue and we have to support the initiative. Of course, we support the initiative of referendum. When we will receive the questionnaires, we will all vote for the referendum. This is the third day of the campaign for the referendum. Nursultan Nazarbayev, as a Soviet leader of the past, in advance received the support of labor communities, trade unions and youth organizations. No one has a doubt that referendum will take place. More importantly, what will be the reaction? It seems that no one already cares what the leader of nation will say. However, there was a precedent, as Nazarbayev received the status of the leader of nation despite of his wish.
The co-chairman of the Social Democratic Party Azad said on Tuesday he accepts the current situation with the elections and referendum, calling it insignificant since it is clear Nazarbayev is not planning on giving up his chair anytime soon. Nevertheless, some attempts to counteract the idea of the referendum are still being made. Two potential presidential candidates held press conferences in the National Press Club on December 28, Жасарал Куанышалин and Kazakhstan Hassan. Both expressed their protest and attempted to find out what are the real reasons behind the unconstitutional plebiscite.
The opposition proposes to prevent the referendum from taking place and also ban Nursultan Nazarbayev from running for presidency in 2012 if the elections will take place at all. One of the potential candidates, Жасарал Куанышалин, says,
Назарбаев давно уже потерял лимит доверия.
Nazarbayev has long lost his trust limit he once had. Moreover, he lost his right to run for presidency, both morally and legally. All of his terms have expired. Kuanышалin believes the administration is acting in backup plan mode, afraid of a repeat of the recent uprising in Belarus, where thousands of people entered streets in protest of Lukashenko's unending tenure. Belarusian head, nicknamed the lost European dictator by European media, emerged unscattered from the situation. OEC observers called the lost elections unfair, but Kazakhstan, which chaired the organization for the last year, was the first to congratulate Lukashenko with unquestionable victory. Nazarbayev always seemed to find common ground with the Belarusian president. Two anniversaries coincide tomorrow, that of the EAC and our distinguished chairman Nursultan Nazarbayev. But EAC is much younger than me. Don't worry, you don't look any worse than the EAC. At least Lukashenko has no Belarus gate, but we do have Kazakh gate. We do not see Lukashenko's daughters and sons-in-law become billionaires at the expense of their nation. Nevertheless, Belarusians were outraged and thought they were entitled to expressing their discontent and unwillingness to tolerate regime any further. Our authorities got scared after seeing this. Kazakhstan Hassan also declared his intention to run for presidency in 2012 if the elections will take place. In 1991, the participant of events in Almaty in December 1986 already attempted to take part in campaign trail, but back then he failed to collect enough signatures to counteract Nazarbayev. Hassan believes the authorities do not need fair elections, not only because of the possible uprising. The authorities also fear citizens who wanted to have their own candidate in 2012. For instance, I also prepared a program and even presented it in several places. The system doesn't want discussions among people, criticism, new proposals or alternative ways of development. They want to promote only one candidate through the illegal referendum with no elections or alternatives. Press conference organizers say that the proposal of the initiative group to extend the presidential term by 10 years is anti-constitutional, but sadly the population is quite apathetic about the whole idea. Perhaps the presidential administration was right in their belief that on New Year's Eve people would be more preoccupied with holiday preparations rather than politics.
The criminal case against the former top managers of the Alliance Bank charged with bringing substantial damages to the financial institution has reached the court, reports Interfax. The team of the prosecutor's office has completed its investigation against the bank's leaders Margulan Simbayev, Jamart Yertayev and others.
In its petition, the General Prosecution Office stated about the recovery of money from the guilty in the amount of inflicted damage, which is over $1 billion. The guilt and the penalty of the accused will be determined by the court. In September, Margulan Simbayev and other accused appealed to the Kazakh General Prosecution Office, saying that they want to voluntarily return to Kazakhstan and assist the investigation in the return of the assets of the financial institution. But in exchange, it is necessary to change the measure of restraint on the one not connected with arrest. The investigation agreed on these measures, and in October 25th, after the voluntary return of Margulan Simbayev to Kazakhstan, the process over the criminal case resumed.
The arrest term for the ex-health minister Jixtalik Daskaliyev is extended to 5 months, said on Tuesday the official's lawyers. The criminal case against Daskaliyev was instigated back in late September when he was charged with exceeding his authority, accepting large bribes and pocketing state assets.
After the interrogation in the financial police, Daskaliyev was hospitalized. Doctors reported for several days about the poor health condition of the former health minister and that after the stroke he is unconscious. However, the financial police later accused Daskaliyev of faking the illness with an aim to avoid the responsibility. The arrest of the former health minister was sanctioned by the court immediately after the appeal of the financial police. When previously his arrest was prolonged to 3 months, why they extended it until January 13th, even though we said that the terms of arrest are counted from the moment of actual arrest, that is September 25th, and according to our calculations, the arrest term should elapse on December 29th, but no one paid attention to our arguments. That is why we appealed with these facts. This is what I wanted to say to you.
The trial against Sergei Utkin will take place today on December 29. On Tuesday, a group supporting the prominent lawyer gathered next to the court building in Almaty.
The fiscal authorities claimed that Sergei Utkin evaded taxes in the amount of $34,000. Lawyer says that the percentages provided by the fiscals are not confirmed by facts. Many lawyers conduct their work on simplified tax schemes. After this precedent, every human rights defender might end up in the dock. Utkin is confident that the process against him was ordered from top. In 5 years of work, he protected the leaders of opposition, independent journalists and mass media, real estate investors and the undesired charity fund Alemart. According to the lawyer, this is enough for the authorities to start digging for discrediting evidence. He is a competent lawyer, and I read newspapers and see that his work and professional activities do not correspond with the state's policies. Are they gone crazy, this Akorda? Why are they persecuting him and Kozlov? Why Utkin? For him doing good to people? Utkin is a lawyer of the highest quality. If he will become a prosecutor, he will bring order in 2 years.
And we just now received information that Utkin has won the case. In the meantime, Sergei Utkin continues to represent Gulzhan Lepusova, the financial consultant of the unregistered party Alga. Her case is reviewed in the Almaty's Almala district court.
Another hearing on the lawsuit of Gulzhan Lepusova, the financial consultant of the unregistered party Alga, took place in Almaty on Tuesday. Lepusova is charged with understatement of income, and now she tries to revoke the action of the tax department. Lawyer Sergei Utkin is trying to prove that material aid given to Lepusova by the leader of the party Alga, Vladimir Kozlov, for further distribution should not be taxed at all. If I understand correctly, during the inspection it was not revealed where and why Lepusova obtained the money. The fact is that she did have it. Following the tax audit, Lepusova was ordered to pay taxes in the amount of about $40,000 plus additional $19,000 in fines. Representatives of the tax department cited no arguments to the contrary, but said that all individuals must register any amounts given them by third parties. Unfortunately, there is no such article in the tax code. There's only one proof. Vladimir Kozlov gave Lepusova this money. Whether it went to her ownership or not doesn't matter. It is not taxable. Thus it remains unclear how they came up with these fines. Vladimir Kozlov finds himself in an increasingly tense situation. He says it is absurd that the financial police come up with their own new articles in the legislation. Without establishing the source of income and even without making any assumptions on the matter, for some reason the judge doesn't believe I gave the money to Lepusova. Everything is very obvious and the absurdity of the situation is clear. The judge scheduled the debates for January 14, 2011. Kozlov and Utkin hope that this time will be enough for defendants to study the tax legislation of the country.
A single white balloon is a symbol of freedom. Activists of the movement Leave Housing to People launched it on Tuesday next to the building of the Almaty City Court, asking the authorities to release the organization's leader Yesenbek Oktishbayev. Together with Denis Alimbetov, he filed an appeal against the decision of the administrative court to sentence them to 15 days in jail.
About 50 activists of the movement Leave Housing to People gathered on Tuesday next to the building of Almaty City Court to support their leader Yesenbek Oktishbayev. On December 19th, he was sentenced to 15 days in jail for conduction of unsanctioned rally near the city administration. This time, organization members brought along a petition for the chairman of the city court with demands to release Uktishbaev. As a symbol of freedom, activists launched a white balloon. We released the balloon because we want Yesen to be free. All attempts of the activists, though, were in vain. In his appeal, Uktishbaev doesn't ask to recall the original sentence entirely, but only to lower the term. Despite this, the court upheld the decision of the judge Zhangazin, saying that 15 days of arrest is a fair verdict for the leader of mortgage holders. We can endure even more for the cause we're fighting for. Since the moment I really felt I'm the citizen of my country, I started fighting for the rights pinched by the current authorities. Yesenbek Uktishbaev's detention term ends on January 3rd. The leader of the mortgages now jokes, recalling the old saying that the year will be spent just the way it is met on the New Year's night.
In Shymkent, 4,000 people with disabilities could be left with no special transportation. Public Fund Sabi presented the city with 2 special minivans almost 2 weeks ago, but the authorities failed to match the gift with promised finances. According to the agreement, the vehicles will be sent to other cities unless they will be used in Shymkent shortly.
In the end of November, the city administration signed an agreement where it made a commitment to finance the development of special transport. The chairman of the fund, Yelena Chuvashova, demonstrated a document according to which the Shymkent administration guaranteed the payments to the control rooms, personnel salaries and calculation of taxes and purchase of fuel. However, none of these mentioned points were fulfilled. The city has 50 special transportation units for disabled, while the Shymkent Society of Disabled has no money to pay for gasoline. We have women and children who are unable to move around without wheelchairs. I'm ashamed to look in their eyes. What am I going to say to foreigners who will visit Kazakhstan? That our authorities make promises and never fulfill them? Or when they will stop disgracing our country? Why am I concerned about the image of my country? They represent the state. Who gave them the authority to act this way?
This is it for now. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow for our final news bulletin. Goodbye.